good afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending on when you're watching this and where you are. I'm KibbyRose. I am here for a afternoon of sprints and conversation. For those of you that are returning people, hello, hi, how are you? For those of you that are new, let me go over real quick what we do here. It's just 20-minute sprints intermingled with me chit-chatting and maybe talking about different topics and things that you may be aware of or maybe not be aware of. But let me roll our opener and we'll get into this whole live stream. Okay, so for all of you law nerds out there, as you can see, I have my earbud in and I have it in for a reason because I am watching Emily D. Baker, of course, and her live coverage of the Florida versus Sarah Boone trial. And this was just about, like, here's the funny thing. I also have an art project that I've been working on that I'm going to share with everybody. I'm actually late for this live simply because this was supposed to be a boring jury selection type day. And guys, it has turned into this huge, like, oh my gosh, wow, what's the drama? The drama. I seriously thought this was just going to be a boring thing that I could listen to the background and get work done. And it ended up being where I started making notes because I was like, I have got to cover this in talking points because it's just literally, literally no words. OMG. Wow. The drama. It's insane because basically, if you don't know about this, Sarah Boone is on trial for supposedly non-aliving her husband in a suitcase. And they've been trying to get this trial together for quite some time. And we've been watching how she's already been assigned like 19 attorneys, dismissed them all. Then she decided that she was going to represent herself. Then she was forced by the court to be represented. Then she ended up putting out like an article or an advertisement in one of her filings to ask for an attorney, which ended up working. So now she has these attorneys flying in at the last minute to cover all this stuff. And today has just been like them literally going over evidence that is, I don't know. As a psychic, as this whole thing was going down, because my notes say rules of evidence. I have a feeling that Sarah Boone requested to keep out everything, but the lawyer filed the motion, so he should know how to write a motion to vacate. And then evidently I had that wrong because what it was is the attorney, because he flew into the case, misunderstood the judge's ruling and didn't think that he would be able to object to things as they came in during court. And that's not the case. So they spent like a good 40 minutes just on this topic. And it ended up being where the judge was like, no, of course you're allowed to object during trial. Like, why wouldn't that be the case? So it's just one of those things where it's like all this stuff is coming in and it's like you feel bad for these new attorneys, but at the same time, it's like you chose to take on this case. So you only got yourself to blame. And then the next thing that I was making notes on, because I was running around prepping for this live stream while listening. So some stuff I didn't get to make notes on, but the next big thing that got me late for this live stream was that she wanted at the last minute, a bunch of evidence came in, and now they're going through the evidence to basically disqualify it from being allowed during trial. And one of the pieces of evidence just happens to be like, I think it was 180 pages on like her being admitted to jail and her blood tests and everything else. And basically she wanted this into evidence because it shows that she was anxious in jail. If that is not a red flag as to how this trial is going to go, I don't know what is. And I literally wrote down red flag. And then the next thing is, as they're arguing this information, because the judge was like trying to find the relevancy as to why this information should come into trial, the judge I made a note, when the judge gets when the judge gets to the point where he starts specifying exactly what he needs from you, and especially when he says, you're not listening to me, to the judge, to the lawyer, like, you might be in a little bit of trouble, and you might be wanting to pay attention to exactly, like, that is what was going on when I was late for this stream, because I was just like, oh my gosh, how are you in trouble with the judge when you have been doing this forever? And even I, who doesn't practice law, knows you can't bring evidence in at the last minute and just not give it to the other side and say, hey, I want this admissible. Like, you have to share the evidence with both sides. So anyway, on our sprints while I'm doing work, I will be listening to that in the background, because they're supposed to be doing jury selection today. It is supposed to be boring, like, reviewing of people and if they are going to be able to cover this case. And instead, we are getting what I like to call courtroom drama. And it's real. And it's real courtroom drama. So anyway, that is, so for those of you that are wondering why I have an earpiece in, that is what I'm going to be doing on my sprints, along with working on my book, because I have piles of what I'm going to be taking care of. However, while I was prepping for this stream and taking a second to relax a little bit before I had to jump on a live, I decided to take, for those of you who don't know, this is the book of my original dreams that I wrote down way back when, as I was having them in my 20s. And I came across something, and I decided to bind it because it fell apart through the years, and I found a way to bound it. But I thought this was really cool, because evidently the way I chose to prove that this, like, I wrote this way back when. Here's a kiss mark from 2010. That is in the book, and it's obviously been there for a while. And I was like, I could see me back then, like, doing that to be like, well, if anybody ever questions, we can just have them, you know, test the lipstick and the ink and prove that it's that old, that it's at least 10 years old. I don't know. It's just one of those weird things where I was like, obviously sealed with a kiss. But I wanted to show this to you because for a lot of you that have journals like me that have lasted a long time, you can go to local Staples or like your office center, and they can actually repunch holes for you. So that's what I went and got done, is I got these holes repunched. And you can also buy the wire binding and they'll bind it for you. But I decided that since this is such nostalgia, and I don't use it that much, honestly, it stays closed, and I wanted to preserve it a little bit better. So I decided to do, I think this is called the hook stitch. I forget exactly what this is called, but I decided to stitch the binding with twine. And I'm using a little baby, or whatever this is, pin to get it through the holes without unraveling. So that is what I'm going to finish that actually as we chit chat. And I'm going to see who popped in here. Hi. Woohoo. Hi, Jen. I work when you're streaming now, but I wanted to pop in and say hi. Good to see you back. Thank you. I'm happy to be back. I am honestly, I'm a little bit with you where I wish I had I kind of wish I had a little bit more of a regular stable job, but since I'm still looking, streaming it is for now. Cora. Hi, Cora. Welcome back. Hi, everyone. I am here editing a book in the waiting room for my son's appointment. Yes. Okay. So are you totally about Sarah Boone? I am not all about it. However, I am an Emily D. Baker stan. I used to moderate for her like a moon ago when she first started doing the law stream. Before she started having like 10, 20,000 people in her lives, I actually moderated for her. And I've just been a huge fan. I love Because, like, for instance, not only is she ADHD and she explains things that maybe not everybody understands, but she is so fun. She correlates everything to music, and she just makes law fun, literally. And like, even during this Sarah Boone, I forget how she does it, but she does it in a way where she can actually speed ahead. So like, I made a comment in the comments today. I was like, oh, we get to zoom with the boon. You know, because I'm old school, and I correlate music with everything too. But I was, and yes, I'm talking about it because I'm watching her trial right now. Emily D. Baker is covering the trial live right now. So that's what I've been listening to while I was getting ready for things this morning. And it's insane. It's insane. I thought it was supposed to be just boring jury trial, and it's turning into kind of an S show. And I've had a manifest for a while. You have? I've been in and out. There's another trial that maybe not so much I can mention on here because of the level of it and what it's getting to. But there's another trial that I'm a little bit more invested of. Also because I saw that one coming a long time ago and I've been waiting for it to happen. However, because I'm an Emily fan, of course, I'm going to watch whatever she covers. And yeah, once I found out about what was actually going on with, I'm sorry, I'm this is my opinion on it in case you were wondering. And this is for all the internet in case you were wondering. My opinion is this. And this also comes from somebody who has died and come back. It doesn't, I understand if maybe she didn't have the best relationship with her husband. I wouldn't doubt that maybe there was inappropriate behaviors that was happening, behind closed doors. However, it does not give you the right to do what she did. It doesn't even validate it. It's an eye for an eye makes everybody blind. And I very much stand on that, where just she had a choice to walk away, just like, and I know everybody out there who's going, oh, you've never been abused. Yes, I have. Even Cora knows, I actually did. I escaped actually a DV relationship 2 years ago. Through help with friends, and I figured I was trying to figure it out, and the way out came to me. And so I know for a fact that if she had done the same, where she just stayed a good person and tried to find an amicable way out, she could have done it. So that's where I stand on it. And to me, with all the video evidence that's there, I don't disagree that maybe, like I said, that maybe there was something behind the scenes. However, it doesn't nullify what she did. And she does need to. And here's another thing from what I understand. I would rather pay my dues on this side than that side. And that's what our legal system is for. What all the angels always tell me, and this is something I've talked through with a lot of clients and people that I used to work with in certain facilities, is that you're going to pay your dues for your sins one way or the other. However, there was a point when it was like they had too many souls on the other side, and God was like, I've got to come up with a way that they can pay their dues on this plane of existence, so this goes faster. And that's what the legal system is. So you voicing that's why it's our system is built the way the system is built, even in other countries where you have to hold yourself accountable, because no matter what happens, you're going to be held accountable. And I would rather be held accountable on this side on my own free will and face the dues here in our jail than have to pay my dues on the other side and be in that jail. And I know this it's hard for those who don't know, but for me, it's been proven to me. I saw it. I've been there. I came back. So for me, I'm steadfast in it, because there is some power in it being proven to you. Can it be proven to everybody? No, you can't go through the kind of thing that I went through, and not everybody survives. However, for those of us who have and have seen it, So that's where I stand with that and the fact that Sarah actually denied an opportunity because they offered her a plea deal. That's the other part of this that completely blows my mind is she's looking at facing 22 years. 22 years. However, she was offered a plea deal where she was only going to have to serve at I think it was 86% of her sentence. And it was basically going to be 6 years that she was going to have to serve. And she would have already had time served, which would cut her sentence. So it's I would have just taken either way on the other side, they know the truth already. They know already. You're not hiding nothing from anybody over there. Okay. The only thing you're doing is messing up how much they're going to qualify your time served on this side. If you don't ever take accountability for your crime and you do time served on this side, it doesn't count on that side because you didn't take accountability for it. That's why a lot of people in jail turn to God, because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of dreams that angels push through that give you this revelation of you got to take accountability for it. It's not just, okay, well, I was sentenced and they put me in jail and I served my time. No, you actually have to take to not face dues on the other side. You actually have to take accountability for it. And working with spirits, this is going to be very controversial to a lot of people, but for those who are not controversial to this, when I work with spirits from the other side, that is something that I encounter is a lot of them come to me why can't I get out of here? And I'm like, well, you're still in denial with the fact that you did this. And they're going, well, I didn't do it. And I'm like, they'll plead with me that they didn't do it. They'll give me the same excuse they've been giving themselves. And I'll look at them and be like, okay, then you obviously aren't, it's very clear you haven't taken accountability because you're giving me the same excuse that you give yourself. And guess what? You're about to go repeat the same behavior that they're trying to get you to take accountability for. So yeah, it's hard because I'm like this. I look at this case in a very different way. Sarah, I understand where you're coming from, and I understand you want to stand. You want to validate the point that you were an abused wife. However, well, YouTube isn't going to push that video, is it? So editing Kibby, cut that part out because that you want to. That's not going to work for the talking points. So if you want to take that stance that she's taking on the case, you may not be wrong on it, but how it doesn't excuse you taking accountability for what you did in response to it. Free will, choice. A lion might be forgiven. A human being is not going to be, if that makes sense. So on that note, I am very looking forward to watching the rest of this because it's whoops. That's what I get for pushing buttons on my phone. But because it was supposed to be just a regular jury selection, boring. What do you know? Do you know anything? Have you ever heard about this? And it has turned into an evidence battle where even the judge is getting frustrated. And it's just OMG. How can jury that's what I love about Emily is when this started happening, she paused it just and she started freaking out about it, just like I started freaking out about it. Cause it was a jaw drop moment when the judge was like, you're not listening to me. I was and she paused it and she did the same reaction where she was like, oh my gosh, so that's why I love Emily, because she makes law fun. And then she explains things that it doesn't make any sense. The only other thing that I want to cover, and I'm just going to cover this real quick because it's a sad topic, but I do want to bring it up since we are talking about this topic. Leon Payne, who unfortunately passed away just recently. I did a psychic reading regarding it that I'm not going to share online, but I have made notes. However, there's a lot I have a feeling that there's going to be a lot more coming to light regarding his situation and certain connections that, and let's just say that I am giving the young man, if it is him that I'm working with on the other side, I'm actually giving him power and energy to solidify everything that, because basically what I'm hearing, if this is correct, and I'm sorry for, again, those who are controversial, but I'm hearing from him that there's a lot, that this goes a lot deeper than it's supposed to be. And he, like, yeah, I'm going to give him the power to do whatever it is that he was intending to do prior to this entire incident happening. Because I'm hearing that and then that's, yep, and that's all we're going to go into, because we're going to be careful with that. And since I have been talking for officially 20 minutes, which is how we're going to be doing this, we're going to bring this lovely window up. And we are going to make ourselves work, since we just gassed up a little bit about the Miss Sarah Boone. Gosh, I need to stop hitting my table with my knee. There we go. We're going to jump into a 20-minute sprint. And I need to pull up the music so that we have some lovely music in the background. All right, so give me mute for the moment. And in 3, 2, oh, I have to go over here. 3, 2, 1, and sprint. And don't forget to mute yourself. And that's the end of that sprint because, you know, my brain takes longer to process a thought than I thought. So I pause. Interesting stuff is going down in the Sarah Boone case. Honestly, if you're not watching and listening to it, it's hard to catch you up. But basically, it's gotten to the point where the attorney's gotten so frustrated that he's like, it sounded like he was about to just give his opening statements. And it was kind of like, very interesting. I don't blame you for being frustrated. But I'm actually working on, I am doing work in the background, surprisingly, during that sprint. That was the whole point of these sprints, right? So the first thing that I wanted to share that I got finished was I did finish the binding on this, and I made it so that if I ever need to pull it out of the rack or whatever, it's easy. But that I finished. I tried to finish the drawings for my okay, so the part of the part of book 2 that I'm working on and updating the outline notes for, because that's what today's sprint about is. Yesterday was the actual book. Today is the outline for book 2, or sorry, yesterday was book 1. Today is book 2. Again, I came across a situation on my maps where they didn't line up. And basically, this is the meeting spot in the dark forest that is represented kind of by this tree right here. Well, when you match up the pictures, like a lot of my pictures are this way. If you notice, the town is over here. Well, for some reason on this picture, I had the town originally here. So I've got to move the town over. Well, it's definitely a Murphy's Law kind of day, because I went to go reach for my pencil. My pencil out here seems to be missing. So I went back to go get my other pencil that's in my other room. It seems to not be working. I spent, I think you can watch back. I think I spent like 5 or 10 minutes fighting with the lead on it. So I was unable to finish that part of the project. So I just left myself a little note, and we'll move on to that. But I did start, these are my notes for the outline. I was able to get Jacob's section and Howard's section done yesterday. So right now I'm working on the dark forest. It's not the tree house in the dark forest, so I need to move that. But basically what's happening is, within the town itself, the animals are alive. The animals are alive, basically, but it's only within the town and the shield and the bubble. It's because the town is magical and it's being protected and guarded and kept secret from the rest of the world. Well, I have it where the animals are starting to catch on that something's going on. Since the shield changed, they've kind of picked up on things because they're animals. So they've all decided to come, like, I guess they all, no. In my book, it's like, it'll be explained in the book. But basically, when too many red flags have gone off in the forest, the communication within the forest is like, all of our town heads need to meet up here. Like, we need to figure out what's going on. So that's actually what this picture is their meeting spot within the dark forest. And as you can see, there's, and this is actually, where is it? This is actually the entrance to Willow and William's homes and where they hide. It's a magical tree. If you've ever seen Harry Potter and how the tents were bigger inside than outside, it's kind of the same concept with the tree, but once you go through the hole in the tree, and there's 2 different worlds. There's a hole in the bottom of the tree, and there's a hole in the top of the tree, and they take you to 2 different places. So I have the animals all coming together and meeting up where they're kind of each reporting a different thing. And I got a little confused because honestly, the animals that I had reporting on certain things, like, for instance, I had the deer reporting that they saw Alex in town. How would a deer see a person walking around a town that's a bit isolated from, truthfully, For the deer to be able to see somebody in town, he'd kind of have to look through buildings. So I had to change it where maybe it was the hawk. So now I have Dakota seeing him in the town instead. So I'm making some slight changes to even the outline that I've been working on. But that's what I was kind of fine-tuning as I was listening to Emily's coverage of the Sarah Boot, or catching up on Emily's coverage of the Boone case. And I kind of like the fact that I leave myself a little timer in the background to go for 20 minutes, because I was able to actually get myself right back in her live stream where I was able to catch up perfectly, because I was like, well, I know for a fact that I've been talking for 20 minutes. So I love her. I love Emily. I'm sorry. I can't not brag enough about that woman. She's exceptional. And she was making me giggle. And yeah, you should have seen it. There was some drop jaw moments again where, yeah. So, let's catch up here. Cora, appointment is over. Now we have to drive back and go find a birthday cake for my son. I at least edited one chapter. That is amazing. Look at it. For those of you that are authors that are maybe struggling, that are like, I can't find the time. Me personally, ADHD. If I'm at the doctor's office, there's no way that I can be printing out a chapter and editing it while along with watching a kid. Yeah, well, I guess technically. See, whenever I'm out in public, it's usually I'm doing, like, I'm sensing things. I'm getting a reading. I don't go out in the general public that much. I gratefully, thank God, I don't have to. But when I do, I usually go out and try to get a sense for things. I used to be able to. Now that I'm thinking about it, when I was working a full-time job, and when I was living in Virginia a year ago, doing a full-time job, yeah, that's what I was doing. I was printing out pages and editing them in the background, or writing them in the background. Anyway, so I hope Cora gets home. I hope she gets her birthday cake, and I hope that everything's great. And I have a feeling that somebody's birthday, your son's birthday party, is this weekend. So happy birthday, little one. The next topic that I just want to touch on is for those of us, or for anybody interested. Since I live in Spokane, there is one thing that I've noticed about Spokane, and I'm going to go on a little rant here. I'm still going to be nice, but there is something I've noticed about Spokane that's very frustrating. Common sense seems to be lacking to a point, and the misappropriated funds of the city is starting to stress on the citizens to the point that I was watching Creme News yesterday, and there was an incident on the I-90 freeway where I literally, it was on the back of one of my other notes, wrote down, look, I know Spokane sucks, but you don't have to take an incendiary device on the I-90 freeway. Like, I was just like, I get it. I relate. I've only been here 10 months. I completely understand where you're coming from. However, there are better ways to go about letting the city know that the city is highly lacking in its entertainment and keeping their population entertained, like busy. Because the truth is most of us that are smart, that do like the entertainment, aren't going to go out in Spokane, because for some reason, and I think I've touched on this before, the city of Spokane can't sell food. And I mean, guys, unless, and like, I'm talking about even the gas stations, you can go up to the pumps, but there's literally no place within the city of Spokane where you can buy food to feed yourself after 9 p.m., after 10 p.m., 9:30, 10 p.m. Like, if you're one of those who's like me, who's used to like California, San Diego, LA, even in Virginia, DC, and you're like, oh, no big deal. I will stop by a little taco stand or a little fry shop or even a 24-hour McDonald's before I go drink and just swing by the place. And, you know, that's how we used to do it. We used to get all dolled up, and then on the way down to the club, we'd swing by somewhere and grab something to eat. You can't do that here. And also in most places in San Diego and also in DC, and I'm talking coast to, this was something that I noticed coast to coast, that I was like, what is so different about Spokane? That even if you can't find one of those fast food places, there's at least one or two bars within the downtown area that sells that kind of like, chicken wings, French fries, that kind of fried stuff, where you can at least put something in your belly if you're deciding to go and spend money on alcohol and have a good night. And that way you're not driving home drunk. So that there's also, what I've also noticed is, I don't know if the city of Spokane like has this hold on who's allowed to be at fairs and stuff like that, but it seems like to me that every event I go to, it's the same booths over and over and over again. And I have tried to get in to maybe put up my own booth, and it is like there is a closed door policy on anybody new getting in. And I'm starting to think, like, guys, you need variety to keep your citizens interested. And then not only that, but listening to the amount of problems that the city is having in regards to their budget, and just just being here 10 months, I'm like, where's this money going? Because the ambulances drive like they're not even in a hurry. Like, I have seen so many 911 their lights and sirens on, but they're going the same speed as everybody else. It's almost like the ambulances don't know that they're allowed to go faster than the speed limit. Same with the fire department. And honestly, like, I'm afraid to call 911 here because of how slow the ambulances drive. Like, thank God in LA that their response time was less than 20 minutes, because that's actually what saved my life. I live in Colbert. I live outside the main part of Spokane. Like, I've seen the response times, and honestly, I will literally ask my 73-year-old mother to drive me to the hospital before I call 911 because of their response time and how much it scares the crap out of me. I almost want to go drive an ambulance and be like, "Hey, let me show you how to do this." The other thing is the events. Like, when you have the events, they're all it literally is all the same, and they seem like cash grabs. Even the Ren Fair. I even signed up to volunteer for the Ren Fair. And the people at the actually, we're going to mention two other times that the people in Spokane were extremely seclusive that I ended up walking away. One of them was the Ren Fair, the local Ren Fair. I tried to get in. I didn't care if I had a booth or if I walked around as a witch or whatever else. I didn't care. I just wanted to volunteer at the Ren Fair. But after I found out that they were going to have the Hells Angels as security, they were discussing that we were less than 30 days away from the start of the fair, and we were having a meeting of 15 people about how they were going to build sets and put together performances, and they were still trying to figure out parking. Yet this is their annual Ren Fair. It blew my mind. Like, these are the kind of stuff that blows my mind. And when I tried to contact multiple people to talk about, hey, I would love to, like, it was very much like, oh, sorry, we don't need you. But are you still coming to the fair? Are we still going to be able to take your money? And I was like, unfortunately, with the experience that I've incurred, I didn't go. Straight up, I didn't go. I felt so just like, I felt like this was so much of a cash grab that I didn't go. And after seeing on the news, the local news, how they literally did jousting with mini fake horses, and hearing from other people, I didn't miss much. And not only that, but what I predicted about the traffic did happen. And it was just one of those things where it was just like, they said they had been planning this for a year, but it was very clear as day, just in normal conversation, that there had been no prior planning to this. And to know that these people had put it on every year, And yes, I'm a bit biased. My mother was a professional theater director. She put on Broadway level musicals with middle schoolers. She had girls singing Bravada level opera in middle school. We sold out our things. I spent weekends building sets, learning light shows, learning sound tech. Like, one of the main reasons that James Storm has his production company is because of what my mom did with her musicals. So am I a bit biased because I know it goes into costuming, creating, set drops, background, sounds, production quality, ticket sales, all of the above? Maybe. However, I also know that going around the country from Tennessee to Washington State to California, the Ren Fair here, Tennessee had a better Ren Fair. Like, and this is the kind of thing. And then the third topic, the third place was Art Salvage here in Spokane. I tried for 6 or 7 months to volunteer there, just doing volunteer work, this kind of art stuff that I loved doing in the background, just wanting to meet other people that did art and everything else. And the older ladies there, and I'm older, I'm 47, but the older generation of ladies that were there alienated me so bad that I ended up leaving. And then not only that, but I had been trying to get other people here in Spokane that I talked to, like a couple of, my local friends. And I find out that the whole reason they didn't volunteer is because they went into that, like, one of the girls won't even go in there anymore because she said that the ladies there made her feel so uncomfortable that, like, she's like, I'll go to Michael's and spend a little bit of extra money and then go in there and and hear those ladies, like, they're so catty. And it just, so I understand where this gentleman was coming from when maybe he wanted to take an incendiary device onto a freeway and do something about it. However, there are better ways to go about it. And maybe, just maybe, somebody here in Spokane might actually listen to this live stream or these talking points and say, hey, you know what? Maybe we should start talking to people that live here that, because we did buy a house here. My parents for the last 5 years have tried to establish themselves here. And this community does not make it easy. And I don't want to speak for my mother, but just from my own experience of seeing how my mom kind of struggles here as well. And she's been here the whole 5 years. Yeah. Y'all people in Spokane need to stop being jealous, because if you want your city to be better, you need to work with the people that are there. Like, I understand if you live in some place like San Diego, when I was yelling at people to stop moving because we had something like 5 million people in the size of area of Spokane. However, that was a whole different situation. There's not that many. I have no idea what the population of Spokane is, but it ain't nothing compared to the cities that I've lived in. And I just feel bad because I'm like, you do not have the community feel in Spokane that you would really hope for. And it's hard and it's sad, but that's my little piece. That's my little spiel on Spokane. And I'm really struggling because I want to stay here. Like, I would love to stay here, but the only reason that I'm technically here is because my 98-year-old grandfather asked me to come home, and he doesn't have much time left. And I get it that he wants his family around for his last couple days. But the truth is, my mom and I talked about it, and more than likely, once he's gone, we're probably going to sell this house and get out of here, because there's nothing here that has made us want to stay. And it's just sad. I want to go back to Virginia. Well, maybe not Virginia because it's the state of hidden fees, but I do want to go back to the East Coast. And I'm sorry. Yes, you're like, well, everybody's probably like, oh my God, are you serious with the hurricanes that just happened? Yes, I know. no matter where you're going to deal with something. Up here in Spokane, we deal with the cold. I mean, it's 33 degrees outside my window right now. You're going to deal with the cold and the snow. If you live in California, you're going to deal with Santa Anas and earthquakes. If you live on the East Coast, you're going to deal with humidity and hurricanes. If you live in the inland middle, you're going to deal with tornadoes. Pick your battle. Is pretty much what it comes down to. What do you prefer to deal with? Then choose where you want to live. And I don't have a problem dealing with hurricanes and now tornadoes, but Milton was a very rare storm, even though this year, from what I'm hearing, after this year, the storms are going to calm down. It's like by the end of whatever this shift is, because it's not just a human shift that's happening, it's actually a universal shift. Everything's shifting, from the earth to the planets to the sun to humans to everything. Everything is literally going, ah! And they're referencing that the end of this shift, like, it's not really going to matter anymore. So like, where you live is going to, our coastlines might change after this. Again, I don't entirely believe it, because every time they come in with, and they're showing me again, every time they come in and start showing me what they show me, I'm just kind of like, I can't fully believe that, because like it's okay, for anybody who believes, I'm going to explain it. What they keep showing me is this like 200-kilometer line of the entire American coast, from Washington all the way down to Baja California, just disappearing underground. Like it just gets eaten alive. It just right under. Like Baja California no longer exists. 200 kilometers inland, gone. Encroaching tsunamis all over the earth, the entire planet, in conjunction with. And then once everything settles, it's going, that is the shift I see. Like I said, do I fully believe it? It's hard. However, if you're actually watching the activities and everything that's going on, the plausibility of it is increasing. And I think that's what scares me more than anything. And again, even if anybody knows, even if the higher elites know that this is going to happen, there's really nothing anybody can do. Truthfully, and that's what I keep hearing too from them, is like, this is such a cataclysmic thing that honestly, there's nothing anybody can do until after the fact. All you can do is prep once everything settles. And not only that, but you can't really prep for what's going to happen after everything settles, because they don't even know. Like my angels are like, dude, you know how water signs are. Imagine water signs just swooshing around the entire planet, but they don't even know where the waters are going to settle. They're like, we kind of know there's going to be land, and we can kind of tell you where technically inland of most places that it's going to be safe. Like, from what I hear, where I am in Spokane, the mountains are going to keep us protected and safe. So I guess that far in from Spokane on either side of the country is fine. But again, it's one of those things where I'm like, I can't, this is too just out there. This is too extraordinary. This is too, this is such a conspiracy. But Nostradamus did predict this. So anyway, so I've been talking for 20 minutes. So we're going to slide this timer over. We're going to bring this back up, because yes, I did have it playing in the background so I could see how long I was chit-chatting for, so I don't go over time. I'm going to hop back into this Sarah Boone live trial. Y'all get a little bit of work done, hopefully, and I will see you all in 20 minutes. In 3, 2, 1, and sprint. And don't forget to mute yourself. And that's the end of that stream. So again, I was listening to the Sarah Moon, and it looks like Emily actually stopped streaming for now, which I'm actually happy about because this is our last sprint too, or yeah, was our last sprint. So we're back. I was able to get a little bit more done on my outline. Of course, my jaw was more dropping over the whole situation with Sarah Boone, simply because evidently now that the first argument didn't work, now she's trying to bring in the self-defense argument. And I know that she represented herself for a minute, but there are rules to the court, and you can't just throw in a defense without having reasons to support it. So this will be very interesting, the next live stream, of how this case is going to go, because simply I feel like Sarah is trying to run the show instead of relying on the people that spent years and thousands of dollars to get an education on exactly how to do this. I feel like Sarah's maybe not realizing that morality is different than legality, and what is always morally right is not always legally right. So, like I said, I understand that she may have possibly been under the effects of exactly what she's saying that she went through. However, that does not excuse what she did. So, the only other topic that I am going to end up throwing a little hissy fit about right now is the other topic that for me seems to be on the forefront of a lot of my YouTubes, and that is the whole Rachel Zegler situation. Now, you'll have to forgive me because my brain keeps doing Ziegler instead of Zegler because of Maddie Ziegler and Dance Moms, and how obsessed with them am I? Oh, I don't know. Maybe the fact that I have all their birthdays and the fact that they are the day ofs. So, but different topic. I am still listening to Back to the Bar, and if they haven't started it yet, I'm going to create a drink book or whatever with all the drinks that they keep talking about, that they mention every single stream. But we're getting off topic again. I just recently found out that Whoopi Goldberg has now kind of been fired from a lot of things, including Toy Story, because of her mouth and her support of certain things. Okay, I'm going to lead into this because this kind of covers both ABC, Disney, Whoopi Goldberg, Rachel Zegler, and a lot of the DEI initiative that's going on. And I want to thank Mike Zero for his video on Whoopi Goldberg, fired from Toy Story, because that's where all of this is coming from. So my opinion is that basically Disney needs to clean house. Disney needs to go in and actually look at view counts. First of all, I would like to honestly know where they are getting all of these view counts from, other than from like YouTube and you actually clicking on the video. I don't know how actual TV works, basically because I don't watch real TV. So I don't know how in the background they're telling who's watching what, when, why, and what counts. Does it count that they just click through, or do they have to sit on the video for 5 minutes, or do they have to watch the whole thing? I mean, what are the qualifications that are giving all these supposed network shows their views, right? First of all, I would love to know the algorithm for that. I'm sure it's out there. I got to do some research on it. But I know for a fact that like my generation, especially me, like I just said, don't watch TV. I don't watch any of the mainstream shows on television. If I even do, because my whole reasoning is I hate commercials. You're not paying me to watch the commercial. I'm paying you, Xfinity, Cox, all these services. I'm paying you to provide a service so that I can watch something. I'm not paying you to advertise to me. Hence the reason that I will not watch any television shows that have commercials, period. I will buy the show if I actually like it and be able to watch it without commercials. I will find it on some sort of other streaming service where I can watch it without commercials. If I can't watch it without commercials, I don't watch it. Period. Like, you're not going to sneak in a commercial on me and no, like there are some shows I really love. I won't watch them. Specifically because Big Bang Theory is a perfect example. Won't watch it. Can't find it anywhere where it streams without commercials. Won't watch it. I'll watch the compilations on YouTube so I don't see the whole episodes, but I'm fine with that because I'm not going to pay for commercials. I don't see the point in paying an internet service to provide me entertainment so that they can sell things to me. It's the same thing. Like, I stop following creators on TikTok that decide that they're going to start promoting a bunch of products to try to get sales. I literally unfollow. Like, you're not going to trick me into trying to advertise to me, especially if I'm paying for it. TikTok's a little bit different because you don't pay for TikTok. It's free. Xfinity, Cox, all of you. If all of you main companies are trying to figure out exactly why you're failing, that's why. There's a lot of people in my generation, there's a lot of people that I'm speaking for where they're probably nodding their head going, yep, that's exactly why I don't watch regular TV. Not only that, but the forced agendas. Like ABC, NBC, all of them may be owned by the same umbrella or whatever, but you can specifically tell just by what shows they post and what live interviews they have and what their news whatevers do, that you can tell that the agendas of those companies. That's another thing. I'm not paying for you to promote an agenda on every different channel. So when it comes to those big execs at those big companies wondering, how do we save a dime? Here's your answer. Stop promoting these shows like The View. Like, you can see, here's the thing. Stop promoting all these younger generation shows and trying to include commercials. The older generation, they don't seem to mind. My mom shrugs her shoulders when I tell her. She's like, I think they've just been dealing with it for so long that to them, it's no big deal that a commercial comes in. My generation was brought up where if we want to figure something out, we Google it. If we need to know, like if we have something happen and we need to figure out a product to use, we will Google it. Our generation doesn't need to remember an advertisement from TV to get us to buy this. Okay. We'll go through TikTok and find some recommendations. We do the research. We don't sit in front of a TV and have it fed to us. That's the older generation. So you might want to actually figure out, number one, where you guys are actually getting these view counts from. Number two, how many people are actually not subscribing to your stuff because they don't want to deal with commercials? And number three, pretty much clean house. Get rid of all these shows that need a bunch of products to be promoted in order for the show to work. If the show cannot promote itself based on view counts, and you have to do product placements in order for the show to actually take off, there's your problem. So, for all of you failing companies out there and for all you corporate executives that are trying to figure out how to fix stuff, stop creating television shows to sell us products and manipulate the agendas of your corporate execs. And maybe, just maybe, you might get a foothold back in a generation that cares. Because at this point, from what I understand, even the younger generation is sick of commercials. Like, unless they have no problem being the commercial and selling the product, because also in my research, I found out that like 70% of the 20-year-olds that are coming out of college or coming out of high school, most of the kids graduating from current day high school or just now entering college, their plan is to become an influencer. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's no money in it. Like, I'm doing this I'm influencing to occupy my time while I try to find a real job. And these kids are coming out of high school thinking that they're going to make money doing this. Unless you're somebody like Emily D. Baker, it's not going to happen. Unless we start getting these corporate execs at Disney to start understanding that they need to promote YouTube channel creators the way they promote these BS TV shows that they have to get a bunch of, backing from corporate or from big name like Coca-Cola and Pepsi in order to even get off the ground. I have a list of creators that are absolutely amazing, from Charlotte Dobray, Alexandria Ryan, Clownfish, Madcaster, Popcorn Planet, Ryan Hall. I mean, Umbrella Guy. You could be promoting these guys who are commercial free, who are extremely entertaining, and seriously, somebody up in the upper echelon of the executives needs to rewrite what they're putting on TV, because you have the older generation for now. They're paying their cable bills. But I'm telling you right now, in 10 years, it's going to be obsolete, because we don't want to watch commercials, and we don't need to. We can do our own research now. So anyway, on that note, that is the end of our live stream today. I'm only doing an hour and a half since I'm splitting this up into 2 days, simply because I'm still doing talking points, and I'm figuring that 3 hours of listening to myself talk behind the scenes I told myself I wasn't going to do it, and now between 2 live streams, I'm going to be doing it. So I'm going to try to keep the live streams to a minimum, since we're streaming twice a week now, just simply for multiple reasons. A, I don't know how long y'all can hear me ramble off for whatever. And B, I don't want to be sitting behind the scenes editing 3 hours of listening to. Every time I have to edit for the talking points, I walk away from my computer and I go up to my mom just like with a headache. Like, I hate listening to myself talk. I have no problem talking for forever, but the truth is no, I actually hate listening to myself talk. I'm sure anybody who edits their own videos probably has the same issue. So anyway, for all of you that have come and joined in and hopped in, thank you for coming in, and I appreciate it. For everybody that's new here, thanks for hanging out. I had fun. Wednesdays and Thursdays at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard or Pacific Standard Time. Pacific. We're in Washington now. We're not in Virginia anymore. Pacific Standard Time, Wednesdays and Thursdays, as I'm doing live streams. My talking points will be up on Monday. Please like and subscribe. And before I can go ahead and usher off, I kind of have to get to this screen so I can push buttons, huh? Anyway, have a great night, you guys. Bye.